Good morning. Today is the 11th, so we are 10 days from the summit in Ekurhuleni in Gauteng. And I want to answer a question almost everybody we talk to asks us, that you guys reject regulation. What is the solution? Put a solution on the table. They say to us now, you can't reject regulation and not put anything on the table. I've got good news for you. There's nothing to put on the table. As a matter of fact, is there a table at all? You can't come into my territory and identify a problem you perceive, a problem I'm completely comfortable with. And after you highlight that problem, you demand that I provide a solution. To start with, I've not identified a problem. We asked a question some maybe 2-3 months ago that could all those proponents of church regulation tell us precisely what is wrong with religion that it has to be regulated. Now, I can't ask you what is wrong with religion that it needs to be regulated. Then you tell me about Omotoso raping girls at church. And you tell me about Bushiri allegedly contravening import laws. And you tell me about Khadebe raping church girls. There's nothing wrong with religion. There's something wrong, allegedly, by the way, with Omotoso, Khadebe, and Bushiri. And the fact that you are dealing with them means that there is a regulatory framework within which what they are accused of can be dealt with. I hope you get that, and you get that very straight. I've asked what is wrong with religion that it has to be regulated. Now, when you tell me, no, we need to regulate religion, don't forget, they are not calling for the regulation of Christianity. They are not calling for the regulation of the church. They are talking about the regulation of religion. Now, the next question that should be asked is, okay, fine, if Omotoso allegedly rape girls in the church, what does that have to do with Hinduism? What does that have to do with Baha'ism? What does that have to do with Islam? Now, if you tell me, no, but there are also incidents. Somebody said to me over the weekend, yeah, the Muslims have been bombing, they've been shooting. There was a shooting in Cape Town and there was also a shooting in Durban. And I said, okay, fine. What is the status quo? No, the SAPS are busy investigating. That all that means already for those kind of incidents, already some sort of framework, regulatory or legislatively exists within which those matters can be dealt with. So the question that still remains is, what is wrong with religion? You see, you can't tell me there's something wrong with blackness because a black man was found robbing a bank. And because a black man was found robbing a bank, we must regulate blackness. How do you regulate blackness? Is blackness an institution? What is it? Is it an association? I had one disappointing preacher, a member of one of these political parties. He was saying to me, yeah, lawyers are regulated, doctors are regulated, engineers are regulated. What is wrong with regulating religion? Now, I wonder why if that man has an ordinary LLB, because no thinking lawyer would ever, in their world, however drunk they are, draw parallels between a philosophy that religion is and sciences. You know, engineering is a science. Christianity and religion express themselves within a philosophical setup, whereas medicine and law, they express themselves within an empirical setup. You know, how do you even liken those? But let me tell you what the real situation is. The real situation does nothing wrong with Christianity. If I find a man robbing a bank, the question that should be asked is this man the owner of the bank or is he an intruder? He's trying to break into, maybe forgot his key, maybe he's the owner of the bank. And if I find out that man is not the owner of the bank, I need to apprehend him and I need to take him into a police station. And the question should be asked, what law has he broken? And when you take them before the judiciary there, and the state presents its case, the judiciary is concerned with what law is broken, And who broke it? Is this the man? Do you have proof that is the man? What law has he specifically broken? And the court should look at what is the sanction we give this man. Now, the Civil Rights Commission and the pro-regulation gang are saying, no, you need to add another dimension to definition of crime. You must add the man's religion. But then also add the man's nationality. We must find out if he's Congolese. We must find out if he's Malawian. We must find out if he's Nigerian. We must find out if he's a preacher. Now, that is not intelligent. There is nothing wrong with religion that it needs to be regulated. So we're coming together on the 21st of March, and we have a clear strategy, a very clear. We have a 5-pointed strategy. We have deliberated upon, and that we shall be presenting to everyone. We are going out there. We're not coming there to argue if we should regulate religion or not. We said it's only those who agree that there's nothing wrong with religion that needs to be regulated. We have no time for other arguments. We have slugged it out on ENCA. We have slugged it out on Power FM. We slugged it out at RHEMA there on the 13th of February. And we've had legal opinions come out there. There was a conference at UNISA there. And every legal expert, we have not encountered one legal expert except an NEC member of this political party. He is the only lawyer, since we've embarked on this journey, who said regulation is the way to go. We have never encountered. I spoke to some gentleman who identified himself as a senior advocate from KZN. He has served on the NEC, on the KZN legislature. He runs his own law firm. He says, until your ENCA interview, I thought the regulation of religion was going to be the easiest task ever. He says, you brought up issues that have made me realize just how difficult and almost impossible this is going to be. Every legal mind agrees with us. But I'm going to read to you right now a report that came out in October 2017 by the Gateway News about what happened in Parliament. I'm going to tell you exactly what is happening right now. I'm reading this report, and you are going to see as we read on how devious Madame XALUVA and her cohorts are. This report came out on the 17th of October, and thanks to Coach Miyakeni for bringing this to my attention. And it reads, recent claims made to Parliament by the Civil Rights Commission that it has wide support in the faith community for its proposal for the compulsory licensing of religious practitioners and organizations were contradicted by major church groups that participated in public hearings in Parliament this week. While a handful of small churches and organizations spoke in favor of the civil rights licensing proposal, the overwhelming majority of presentations to the COGTA parliamentary portfolio by major churches and organizations were firmly opposed thereto and called COGTA to reject the recommendations contained in the Civil Rights Commission's final report on the commercialization of religion and abuse of people's belief systems. While there was a unanimous and complete condemnation of those who commit criminal acts and who perpetrate any harm in the name of religion or under the guise of religious freedom, it was made clear that state regulation and the compulsory licensing of religious practitioners and place of worship by the CRL as an institute of state were not seen as an acceptable, workable, or even necessary solutions, said Freedom of Religion of South Africa in a press release today. I'm continuing. The COGTA hearings on Tuesday and Wednesday, that is 2017, followed the CRL's presentation of its final report, to the Parliament Committee on June 27 of 2017, at which time it claimed the regulation recommendations enjoyed wide support in the faith community. At the time, Freedom of Religion South Africa told COGTA that the CRL's claims was not correct, and the Freedom of Religion South Africa asked the committee to allow further input from the religious community before taking any decision on whether or not to forward the Civil Rights Commission report to National Assembly. The meetings at Parliament this week were well attended by a strong representation of the Christian community, in particular, with representation being made by, among others, the Evangelical Alliance of South Africa. These guys have more crowds than RHEMA and all this crowd put together. They opposed that. The South African Catholic Bishops' Conference opposed that. The Dutch Reformed Church of South Africa, the Assemblies of God, the Baptist Union of Southern Africa, as well as several other major structures representing mainly African independent churches, such as the All Africa Federation of Churches and the Christian Ministers' Council of South Africa. We're talking in excess of 5 million South Africans represented by these organizations. Submissions were also made on important developments in the training and educational sector of the Association of Christian Religious Practitioners, and high-level legal advice and input was given by the South African Council for Religious Rights and Freedom, who oversee the South African Charter of Religious Rights and Freedoms, who warned, all these people warned that the CRR's recommendations were being viewed with concern by international human rights agencies such as United Nations Special Rapporteur on Freedom of Religion or Belief. Even internationally, there was an outcry against THOKO XALUVA's recommendations. Representation were also made by some royal households and African traditional health practitioners. The CRL, in their final presentation, failed, we talk in 2017, to meaningfully address any of the substantive legal and practical concerns raised by many over the 2 days. As a result, they missed a golden opportunity to show willingness to engage meaningfully with the broader faith community. Instead, the CRL chose to focus much of their presentation on attacking freedom of thought. They attack everybody who opposes them without bringing any substantive on the table. And they made the bizarre claim that most of the presentations made against the report seem to have been taken from posts of Freedom of South Africa's website. A further embarrassment for the CRL came in the forms of a challenge by a COGTA committee member, the parliamentary committee they report to, who presented documentation which proved that the CRL had openly misled Parliament by saying in the recent presentations of the annual report to Parliament that there is secured support for the recommendations from certain major church organizations when they clearly knew that was untrue. They've even lied about it. Listen to me, those of you who say we need to put something on it. There's nothing to put on the table. This is all lies perpetrated by the Civil Rights Commission. I'm continuing to read the newspaper report from October 2017. In summarizing the meetings, the COGTA Church, COGTA is the Parliamentary Portfolio Committee that the Civil Rights reports to. The chair said that the committee would have further discussion before deciding whether to accept or reject the Civil Rights report. It is impossible at this stage to say how long that decision will take. It was also noted by some of the COGTA committee members that more discussion with other religious groupings was needed, and it is therefore possible that more meetings would take place. Lastly, as an interim measure, it is possible that COGTA may find in favor of convening a national consultative conference of all religions. This was a suggestion which was proposed by Freedom of Religion South Africa in his opening address. Now, from this, a few weeks later, the COGTA committee came and said, no, go and consult widely. Now, I've given you the names of organizations, big organizations. McCAULEY, Musason and Company, and all this. They mobilized thousands of people. These organizations mobilize millions of people. Now, it's interesting that when THOKO XALUVA left this parliamentary hearing, where she was told to consult widely, she never went to any of these churches. She never went to the Evangelical Alliance of South Africa, to the South African Catholic Bishops, the Dutch Reformed Church, Assemblies of God, the Baptist Union. These are major. She never went to any of these. She instead went to McCAULEY and Company, a minor representation that they were. She went to people who told her what she wanted to hear. and unconstitutionally convened that task team that is now headed by Mosasono, and gave them the code of conduct. The code of conduct that was presented to you who went to RHEMA on the 13th of February was formulated by the Civil Rights Commission. That's why we are saying to you, self-regulation and peer review are regulation. Because when she failed to put the document through Parliament that demanded the regulation of religion, she formulated another strategy, and I'm talking about XALUVA, that she renamed. In politics, I've worked for politicians. Don't be caught up in what they title documents. Look at the objectives. Same objective, different document. She called it self-regulation. Now, if it's self-regulation, if RHEMA and Mosasono are not lying to South Africa, and it's self-regulation, go and ask them, why was the code of conduct that they presented at RHEMA, why was it formulated by the Civil Rights Commission? If it's peer review, if it's self-regulation, the code of conduct was supposed to be generated by the church, why was it handed down by the Civil Rights Commission? Those of you who think in their minds there's a difference between regulation of church by state and peer review need to ask questions that you've never considered before. If we are self-regulating and peers are reviewing peers, I used to be in the corporate world. When we have peer review, you can't have members of the executive committee, executive management reviewing cleaners. Peer review. We review people on our level. Now, it could hardly be conceived that McCAULEY is my peer. He's my senior. What reason does he have reviewed me on a document he was given by THOKO? There's no peer review there. So we are coming on the 21st, we are saying, you have been hoodwinked in a very devastating way. And if you don't rise and fight for the retention of our freedom of religion, you will regret, because your head will go down in shame as part of a generation that stood by silently when the church was captured. I think this video clears a lot of misconceptions. And you realize that I go to Parliament, my portfolio committee says, go and consult. The very people who say this won't work, I ignore. I set up my own committee. McCAULEY, Mosasono, and all those people who sat on stage at RHEMA on the 13th of February were handpicked by Civil Rights Commission. There's no democracy now. In democracy, whether you're talking religion or politics, we can never have a leadership chosen by a state institution to speak for us. There's no democracy there. Democracy, by the way, as I close, is a will of the people, by the people, for the people, by the people, for the people. And we can never accept that in this era, a state institution imposes McCAULEY's leadership on the church just because he agrees with recommendations their own portfolio committee rejected. I hope this clears that. If you need any more answers, 079-695-8908. That's my number. That's where we RSVP. We book. We want to know if you are coming. May the Lord let you bless and keep you.